What's been going on in the Canadian dollar today, so far today, has been sheer madness. If you think markets are rational, let's just go over what has been transpiring with the Canadian dollar in the Forex market, okay? As everybody probably knows by now, the Bank of Canada, in a totally telegraphed move, raised the overnight lending rate by 25 basis points. Whoopee, bringing it to 75 basis points. Remember, in the U.S., the Fed funds rate is now 1.25%. So we're still 50 basis points higher. You know, if someone was going to look at interest rate differentials, which doesn't necessarily mean much, but if you were going to look at interest rate differentials, the U.S. Fed funds rate 1.25 versus Canada at 75 basis points. But this was a totally telegraphed move. The Canadian dollar has been going straight up for the last 3 hours, nonstop. 3 hours of buying straight up in reaction to what was this totally telegraphed move. Now, let's backtrack because we want to talk about the irrationality of market participants. If you go back several weeks ago, you had the speculative cohort, speculators, were hugely short the Canadian dollar. I spoke about this on videos. I had it in the MMT Trader Report. They had a net short position. And remember, when I say net, that's longs minus shorts. A net short position of 90,000 contracts. That was the most I have ever seen as a net position in the Canadian dollar on the part of speculators. 90,000 shorts. And I was saying at the time, this is the best trade on the board to go against that, to buy the Canadian dollar. And at the time that they held that position, there were, the Bank of Canada, members of the Bank of Canada did say that their next move was going to be a tightening. And it hit the market a little bit by surprise when that statement came out. But then they kept shorting it. They kept shorting. And if you look at dollar Canada, right? Dollar Canada was up around 137, 138. You know, today it's touching 127. So we had almost a 900 pip decline over the last several weeks, ever since I said, buy the Canadian dollar. But today's action in particular is really astonishing. It's incredibly emotional, I think. I mean, it's been going up for 3 hours straight on a move, a 25 basis point move that brings the overnight lending rate to 75 basis points, where the Fed funds rate is 1.25%. All right, that's what, 67% higher. So I mean, this was known. They knew it was coming. And I could understand the reaction initially when the announcement was made. I mean, that happens. People are in positions. You get stopped out. People who are not really that savvy, they come jumping in. But this has been going 3 hours straight without any sort of a break whatsoever. Now, one could argue, you could say, Mike, hey, you're the policy maven, you're the MMT guy. Just because they raise one time doesn't mean that's the end. You've said it yourself in the past, Mike, that one hike begets another, which begets another, and they keep on going. So what the market is doing here is discounting further rate hikes in the future, which is absolutely a very plausible explanation. However, again, it does not explain that this move was completely telegraphed a few weeks ago, last month, and they decided to continue shorting the Canadian dollar, So while, yes, there is an element of that in today's move that, you had a rate hike and it's the start and not the beginning, the magnitude, the velocity, the violence of it, if I could use that word, is incredible. And it goes to show once again how, if you are calm and if you are in control and if you understand, the fundamentals, if you understand the big picture, if you understand policy, because by the way, I didn't even mention that rate hikes are not bullish for the currency. You know that because I don't even have to mention that because I've said that a million times in the past. But it just goes to show that if you can keep your head when everybody else is losing theirs, there's always money to be made, folks. There's always money to be made. So just an incredible, what is going on with the Canadian dollar today. Again, just as a statement about markets and market behavior. All right, I know how everybody wants to believe that this, they're all rational and the random walk theory, and it's all about behavior, folks. And that includes your own, not just, I'm not just talking about the zombie behavior. It includes your own. Anyway, I am long dollar Canada from an average price of about 129.20. We're at 127 something, 05 or 10. So it's 200 points against me. But, let's see what happens. Bye.